Today we're going to run through 5 things I don't particularly like about my DIY Canopy fit out on the back of the D-Max. Now this video is not meant to come across as a bit of a whinge session. Generally speaking, I am really happy with how the fit out has been performing. It's been meeting all my needs quite well, but just like everything, nothing's perfect, and there's been a few things that have popped up either on camping trips or just on the road day to day that have sort of made me reconsider a few components, things I either would have done differently or need to look at adding in future. Number 1 is actually what prompted this video in the first place, and that was me opening my canopy door and finding my poor LED light strip just kind of hanging loose in the canopy. Now this stuff is extremely cheap. I paid about $5 for a 5-meter roll of this stuff. It's got adhesive on the back, you can cut it to any length, so it's really convenient to work with, but in hindsight, it's probably a bit optimistic of me to expect this to stick to this really matte canopy finish. In my defense, I have had quite a positive experience with similar stuff in the past on my previous canopy and previous car, but this one's just a lot more matte, so just literally over the last 6 months, this stuff has been falling off strip by strip. So I have tried to keep it in place with either super glue or sticky tape. I know, very dodgy solution, but it was always just a short-term fix. But it's just getting to the point now where nothing's working. I don't really want to fully silicone these in place when they're not the greatest lighting strips in the world anyway. My solution for this is pretty simple, and that's to install those rigid LED light strips instead that you actually screw into place and they're not going anywhere. My only reservation with those, other than the fact they're quite a bit more expensive than my $5 LED light strip, is that I think the switches are built into most of those. So to turn the lights on and off, you actually have to toggle the switches on the end of that light strip. Not the end of the world, but just for me personally, I'd really like to be able to use my built-in switches to be able to control those as well, the amber and the white. So I might just have to look into seeing if I can dissect those and run them back to my custom switches, but either way, should be a pretty easy fix. Number 2 isn't so much something that's wrong with the fit out, but rather just something that's missing, and that's an accurate way to monitor my battery. So right now I'm just running this little battery meter down here that just relies off voltage, fully calibrated to lithium, and that's definitely better than nothing, and it does give me a rough idea of my battery level as a percentage. So without that I'd really be stuffed, but I'm really just looking for a way to really accurately measure exactly how much power I'm drawing when I'm parked up at camp, to let me know how much longer I can stay at that location drawing that current load with the fridge freezer here, charging all my camera gear, running lights, running a second freezer on the other side if I'm on a really long trip. And also when I'm charging the battery as well, it'd be great to know how many amps are coming back into that battery, either through the DC-DC charger while I'm driving along, or through that new 300-watt solar blanket as well. I know a lot of you guys have been chasing some more info on that solar blanket too, so a more capable battery monitor would allow me to collect that data to share with you guys as well. My solution for this is pretty simple, and that's just to get a proper battery monitor that connects through a shunt style system that you put on the negative post of your auxiliary battery, and that thing just measures all the flow going both in and out of your battery. There's a few different ones I've got my eye on. None of them are crazy expensive. I think between $200 and $300 depending on which model you go for. The one I'm looking at is probably going to be the Victron model that seems to be the most popular online, and that also gives me access to my battery stats through the app on my phone as well, which would just be great. So that's what I'm looking at buying. I think it costs about $330 for the one with Bluetooth, so still doing a bit of research before I commit my funds in that direction, but that's looking like the best solution. Now, I think number 3 is going to be a little bit controversial because some people love these things, but just for us, we're not particularly liking these plastic storage drawers on top of the main kitchen bench. I know, I get why they're awesome, like they're super cheap, super easy to install, and so easy to pack when you go away, because you can literally take the whole tub out, bring it inside, pack all your camping supplies, and away you go, and that's really cool. We've been enjoying that feature, but there's a few things that we just don't like about them. So the way I've got mine installed, I've strapped them all around the main kitchen bench system. There's a plank of wood at the top to give them a bit more structure, and then they're all kind of clamped around that bench unit. And what that means is that when we go away, particularly over bumpy terrain, the whole system kind of shuffles itself around on this bench unit. Not a dramatic amount, only a couple of millimeters, but just enough to be annoying. And also because they're kind of being clamped around the edge, some of these tubs, particularly these smaller left ones, are quite stiff to slide out, which is a bit annoying too. Also, because you can't chop and choose the exact dimensions of these tubs, you're restricted to what the shops sell. They're just not fitting that perfectly. Like the width is great, but this top left one, for example, you might notice it's missing. That's because that tub won't actually slide out. It hits this canopy lip. So I've had to take the tub out completely, and instead I'm just using this as a bit of a bit of loose storage and stuff's always falling out of that area, and I'm finding it on the bench here, so not ideal. And also on the rear end of these, they're actually different depths. So these big tubs are much deeper than these shallow tubs. So I'm effectively wasting a bit of space behind these shorter tubs. My solution for this is pretty simple, and that's just going to be to remove all of these tubs and start again fresh. So you guys can expect a bit of a DIY episode coming soon, building up a new food storage section. Number 4 is pretty straightforward, and that's just the location of my auxiliary battery. So right now it's mounted in on the driver's side behind my fridge, and the problem with it being mounted there is that it's taking up some really valuable real estate. So this section of my canopy, this small opening, is the only space in the entire canopy that I can actually use the full height. So if I'm transporting things that need a bit more height than the room I have on top of this drawer module, that's the only place I can transport it other than in the car. So it just doesn't seem to make much sense to me to have the battery mounted there in prime real estate for something I really need to access. So the reason most people traditionally mount their batteries in the front of their canopy is for better weight distribution, because back in the AGM days, those batteries were extremely heavy, and if you had a couple of those, you would not want that weight too far back in your canopy. But now that I've gone lithium, this battery weighs about 11 kilos, so there'd be no problems whatsoever mounting it somewhere in the middle of the canopy or even towards the back. So my solution for that is going to be to try and find my battery a new home in the coming months to free up some more of that space. Okay, on to number 5, and I've probably saved my biggest gripe for last, I reckon. So back when I did this original canopy fit out about 8 months ago, I was a bit pressed for time to get the car ready for a trip, so I really focused most of my attention over on the left-hand side of the canopy, the kitchen side, and this poor right-hand side got a little bit neglected. And as a result, there's just a lot of general disorganization and a lot of wasted space. The main culprit for this is the area in between this main drawer module and the pantry on the other side. It's a bit of a pit of nothingness, essentially, so it goes the whole way down to the floor behind this drawer module, and it's just a really hard space to fill when we go camping. We kind of have to just chuck stuff into the abyss and hope for the best, and it's even more annoying to try and get that stuff out again at camp. We stored a 20-litre water jerry can in there when we headed up through the Pilbara. It was annoying to get it in there, even more annoying to get it out, but we were pressed for room, so we kind of had to do that. That's another thing, like being a 1650 canopy, space is really valuable in this thing, so I can't really afford to waste space like that. The second part of the problem is that there's a bit of a height difference between the top of this drawer module and the top of the bench that sits just behind this drawer module. And we just find it makes it really annoying when we're packing stuff to go away, because we'll put something on this drawer module, push it back to try and make the most of the space, and it will fall into that back area, lift up on an angle, or we'll try and store something at the back there and we have to kind of reach over the drawers to get to it. It's just making every time we pack to go away a really annoying experience. So my solution to try and solve that problem, to solve my dead space problem, and also to solve my auxiliary battery location problem, is going to be to create a bit of a custom battery box that sits within this dead space. Might even be room to create a future provision for a second battery in case I wanted to go down that line at some point. And that's just going to essentially fill that hole. I'll make the frame extend across the top of this bench too to have one even layer. That should bring everything up to the same height, so I can build up a nice carpeted top to extend across that whole section, maybe build up a carpeted false wall at the back there as well, and that will just make this area so much easier to use. Well, those are the 5 things that I'm currently disliking about the DIY canopy fit out. Hello, Bianca.
Hello.
You guys haven't seen Bianca for a while, actually. You haven't been on many videos lately.
I've been a bit MIA, but I do still exist.
She's still here, just very busy.
Yes. This is your hating on the canopy video.
Well, not so much.
Right?
Just running through the dislikes, the things I might change.
Things you failed at.
Oh. My daily ego boost from Bianca. You want in?
I want in.
Get buckle in, guys. You want to have
a few. I don't even need to. I just wanted to be a part of this. He didn't want to put it in this video, and I was like, no, it has to be. Look at this.
Poor Bianca. So yeah, the height of this bench is pretty high. Annoyingly so for Bianca. It's fine for me.
Yeah, but look, it's just, I don't like complaining about things that I don't have a solution for. This is kind of one of those, like, yeah, okay, we could just have the, I can't get this down, the slightly lower, just use like the lower level table, but then that would mean having our cooker not on that table, and then we'd have to store that somewhere else, and I hate that. So I'd rather have the height than the storage issue of the cooker. So unless we can get rid of that cooker.
Yeah, and we could do if we go down the line of induction cooking, which I'm considering looking into more seriously down the line. But until then, we're kind of stuck with a high bench.
Yeah.
So there you go, one bonus point for you. There's 6 things we currently dislike, if we include Bianca in that evaluation as well.
I'm a leave now. I have more work to do, but that's my input.
All right, well, thank you for your input. So I guess the point of this video is really just to give you guys a couple of extra things to think about if you're currently fitting out your own canopy setup. It's a lot to think about when you're doing your own fit out, so I just thought I'll share the things that I've experienced that have not essentially gone wrong, but things I didn't think about at the time that have since come to light. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully it gives you an idea or two that you can apply to your setup, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.